Okay, so have you ever played a game that just gets one thing completely right? Not trying to be everything at once. No skill trees, no crafting, and no bloat. Just one core idea done beautifully. Well, that's Mirror's Edge, a first-person parkour game where movement isn't just part of the gameplay, it is the gameplay. But here's the thing, it came out way back in 2008 and it sort of disappeared. So today I want to go back to this brilliant, iconic, yet sort of weird game and ask, did Mirror's Edge fail or were we just not ready for it? I'm Elaine and this is Destructoid, so let's talk about it. Okay, so most games treat movement as a means for the character to transition between points A and B, or it's simply there to help you reposition, move around, so you can aim at your enemies better. But Mirror's Edge challenged that and said, what if movement was the gameplay? In 2008, DICE, known for their explosive military shooters like Battlefield, took a hard left turn and changed the wave. Or should I say it made its new kind of wave in the industry. No guns, well, at least in the beginning, no cluttered HUDs, no XP bars, just rooftops, rhythm, red pipes, and a whole lot of running in the flow state. Now, it didn't just look clean, it played clean. The game's overall atmosphere and environment represents the corporate world with its clean lines, pristine white buildings, and bright skyline. And no game ever since has managed to tap into that clean, minimalist, futuristic look quite in the same way. For a game that was developed in 2008, it still looks beautiful as ever. Aside from its clean-looking environment, it also has a clean gameplay and UI where Runner Vision turned the city into a readable landscape. No minimaps, no press X to win prompts here. Instead, you flowed. Miss a roll, you lose momentum. If your movement and jump are timed right, you'd feel like gravity was your dance partner. Every surface had a purpose. Every mistake was yours. But so was every glorious rooftop escape. However, frustrations kicked in for me mainly when the guns were first introduced. It sort of disrupted the game's overall fluid movement-based gameplay. And I found it quite clunky. All of a sudden, the route that I had planned and mapped out in my head was all blurred up because I had to stop, crouch, aim, and shoot at the bad guys. It's those moments where I felt I could speed run the stage by trusting my flow state. Just run, jump kick, land, climb, run again. Clear those stages swiftly without needing to stop and hold an angle. So yeah, momentum matters big time in this game. But Mirror's Edge didn't fully commit. DICE was almost brave enough. Instead of doubling down on the purity of movement, instead they added guns. They sucked the soul of the game right out. Suddenly, I wasn't flowing, I was fumbling almost every step. The gunplay felt stiff, slow, and honestly, a bit awkward. It clashed violently with the game's elegant rhythm and overall movement-centered mechanics. Aside from that, Mirror's Edge had a low-light moment upon launch in 2009. And EA's timings for this game back then, it was quite disastrous. It was sandwiched between action giants, poorly marketed, and pitched at a mainstream audience that didn't know what to make of it, which resulted in poor sales back in the day. And don't get me wrong, Mirror's Edge didn't fail because it was bad. It's far from that. It failed in sales because the industry and the audience weren't ready for a game about motion as meaning. But you know who did understand Mirror's Edge at that time? Speedrunners. The game was practically made for them. And to this day, the game lives on through people who treat levels like puzzles, optimizing every wall run, roll, and zipline jump. Because when this game works, it's poetry in motion. Trust me, I tried to clear these stages in hard mode, which means there were no color markers, and I was a lost sheep with no sense of direction. But I guess that's the beauty of this game. You get to discover new routes to take with every run, and something about that just feels so freeing. So in a world full of live service fatigue and bloated AAA open worlds, Mirror's Edge feels like a breath of fresh air. So another question is, could Mirror's Edge still work today? And based on today's standards, it's still a beautiful game. Its bold minimalist art direction, the stark whites, splashes of vibrant primary color, and sweeping skylines, it still turns heads. Then the cutscenes roll in, and the story continues, and things get a little bit awkward. Let me show you.
Yeah? Yeah. Popes. Got a tip-off about a meet at the New Eden Mall tomorrow.
Well, the stylized 2D animated cinematics might have felt edgy in 2008, but for me, they look like a web cartoon from the Flash era. Sorry to say, but the cutscenes aged like milk. It's flat, stiff, and tonally disconnected from the sleek, immersive world of the game itself. As for the story, well, it could be better since it was predictable, but I honestly didn't care much for it. So far, those are the only negative things that I have to say about this game. Some parts of it did not age pretty well. Still, there's no denying that the core vision of Mirror's Edge remains powerful. It's one of the OG most beloved games back in the day, with strong replayability in the present. So imagine it rebuilt today with Unreal 5 lighting, buttery dual-stick parkour controls, and a commitment to fluid motion. No forced combat, no filler. Just you, the skyline, and a red pipe that dares you to try. So to answer the question, did Mirror's Edge fail or were we just not ready for it? Honestly, this game was way ahead of its time. It didn't dominate Twitch, but maybe that's okay. Maybe it was never meant to. Maybe Mirror's Edge was meant to break the gunplay mold and introduce a new movement, even if the world wasn't quite ready. But those who picked it up back then, they knew. And won't stop talking about this game in high regard because it's that iconic. What's wild is that, despite its flaws, outdated 2D animation, poorly written plot, it still left a huge mark in the industry. It didn't start a genre overnight, but it planted the seed. Games like Dying Light borrowed their first-person parkour DNA. Titanfall 2 turned momentum into an art form. Neon White mixed speedrunning with stylized movement. Even Ghost Runner owes something to Faith's Rooftop Sprint. Then let's take a look at the indie side of things. Titles like Celeste and Symphony embrace the idea of traversal as expression, where moving through space is the game, not just a means to an end. Mirror's Edge showed that movement could be thrilling, skill-based, and beautiful. It inspires developers to ask, hey, what if running felt this good? Games fail for all kinds of reasons, but failure doesn't mean they weren't brilliant. Mirror's Edge imagined a game built entirely around momentum and grace before movement-focused games were cool, before indie devs made minimalism trendy, before speedrunning exploded. It gave us a bold female lead, a clean visual identity, and a gameplay loop that flowed literally, when most games were chasing grit and noise back in the day. Yeah, it stumbled, and sure, it got buried or maybe failed in sales back then, but it was trying to show us something completely different. And now more than ever, it feels like we're ready for it. So here's a quick question for you guys. Would you play a remastered version of Mirror's Edge if it came out today? Let us know and vote over in the comments down below. Don't forget to hit that like button while you're at it. So if you want more deep dives about games that you think deserve better, feel free to subscribe. Once again, it's been me, Elaine, and I'll see you guys in the next one.